All right, I'm here with Travis Stoetzel, travisstoetzel.com. Just going to ask him a few questions, and hopefully we can inform some of you guys on good training and good nutrition and what he does. Travis, can you tell us a little bit about what you do and your background, please?
Like a lot of strength coaches, personal trainers, got my beginning. Playing sports growing up, was always involved in sports, played football, baseball, wrestling, ran track, and then in college, stuck with football, played football throughout college, played a little bit of baseball through college, and then stuck with football a little bit, played some professional football after I was done with college, went to some NFL combines and stuff like that, and so just trying to get myself to a higher level of, performance. That's kind of how I started getting my foot in the door with strength and conditioning. So I was constantly online reading, investing into DVDs, books, in regards to improving performance and training. And when it got to the point where I knew I wasn't going to make it to the next level, that's when I said, all right, well, I think I want to, start helping athletes get to this level and, help prepare them get stronger, faster, more explosive. And so that's kind of when I got my first job working at a big Globo gym. And going in, I thought I was going to be training athletes all the time, and then that wasn't the case. I was training pretty much everybody across the board. I loved it, but after a couple years, just the environment of that type of that gym, it's just kind of the local fitness crowd and stuff like that. I had to get out of there, and because I just couldn't train the way I wanted to train there. So that's when I kind of started to transfer over to getting my own gym, and so I trained a lot of people in parks and apartment gyms and stuff like that in between. And then I finally got my own little gym, the Forged Athlete, and started out in a small little garage space, about 1,000 square feet. And then after a couple years there, we just moved into a bigger spot. It's about 3,000 square feet now. Got all the fun toys in there, and yeah, that's what we do. We just train to become badass across the board. So I got all types of different people in there, from athletes. Really like to focus in on the combat type sports, so football, wrestling. Got a lot of military personnel in there, people like that. So been going strong now for 4 or 5 years. And that's kind of my background. And then a couple years ago, I was posting videos and stuff like that on YouTube of my own training and my athletes' training, and kind of picked up some speed with that through just my YouTube page. And so that's when the light bulb kind of went off in my head, where with the technology we have today and how we can connect with people across the world and not just locally. That's when I took things online and started my blog, and just kept posting workouts and tips and stuff like that. And it's just picked up, and we're here today. And I'm fortunate enough to be able to help a lot of people and connect with other trainers like yourself online. So it's been awesome, man. So that's kind of been my road to where I am today. So
that's cool.
That's that, man.
That's very cool. So it seems that you have a huge interest in strength training. What is there any particular reason for that? Is it like, appearance, health, or what's the reason? Or just because you like it, Well,
my approach to training, just with my athletic background, that's how I've always trained everybody across the board. That's the base. Obviously there's different routes you can go, but everybody in my mind is an athlete, whether you're an actual athlete competing in sports, or you're just somebody that's never competed in sports and you're just looking to get stronger, healthier overall. You're an athlete at heart. So I take a performance driven approach to all the different ways I train, because when you improve performance, you're going to improve everything else across the board. So that's my take with it. Train like an athlete, get stronger, more explosive, improve your conditioning, and like I said, it just crosses all over into the board. And then obviously you have that base of performance-driven training. That's always kind of base structure, and then you can get more specific off of that depending on who you're training, whether they're a football player or a mother trying to lose some baby weight. So nothing puts a big smile on my face than to see somebody improve their performance. It's awesome to see people transform their bodies, but at the same time, when you get a client come in, they can't even do push-ups or pull-ups. After a couple months, they crank out, sets of pull-ups when before they couldn't even, hang from the bar, and that to me, that's awesome to see. And then with that stuff, you get the benefit of just transforming the body too. So, losing body fat, losing weight, whatever it might be. But, that's the main gist of it, is just performance-driven training, is the key.
Yeah, so I think the same, that like, I find with my own clients, my online clients and personal training clients, that and teams obviously, that strength is you need a foundation of strength before you can go anywhere. And
definitely.
Yeah, and it seems over here anyway, a lot of athletes don't seem to have it, which is unfortunate. But it's great to work on it, as you said. It's fantastic to work on, see them improve, see them get stronger, and performance go up. But so what would you suggest, if I could break it down into a high level athlete, a beginner athlete, so not a beginner but a young athlete, and just an everyday Joe, run of the mill guy, what would you say are 4 or 5 of the best exercises we can employ with them for physique and performance enhancement?
So you're talking about beginners, athletic. So yeah, when you're looking at beginners, you just got to look at the base movement. So your body weight squat, your push-ups, your pull-ups, lunges. That's where you want to start. You can't go wrong with those. And any beginner that's going to be coming into our gym, a lot of times people are looking for those fancy exercises, even when they're a beginner. That's not going to help them out, off the bat. You got to get them strong base of support with body weight first. So you can't go wrong with just basic squats, push-ups, pull-ups, lunges, like I said, all the different variations of those movements. And that's where you're going to see the most progress. So you get those down, that's when you can start to progress into other movements, start adding in weighted movements, with your kettlebells, swings, snatches, things like that. But if somebody's weak and just, their body weight squats, they can't do push-ups, can't do pull-ups, there's no sense in, putting them under a barbell or having them try to lift some weights when they don't have that base level of strength, So it always starts off with body weight stuff first, and then you can progress from there. So that's the route you got to go.
Yeah, I agree. I had a high school rugby team last year, and they weren't too happy. I insisted that you're not getting under a bench press until you can do at least 50 press-ups, 50 push-ups. They obviously weren't too happy about it, but you need that foundation of body weight strength, absolutely 100%. So just to sum up, we're talking about body weight squats, lunging, push-up, pull-up, then progressing into more complex things like swings, snatches, deadlifts, etc. Gotcha. So, would you suggest that a girl with the same goals as a guy, so physique and performance enhancement, would you suggest they train any different or the exact same as a guy should, or a guy would?
That's a good question. We have a good mix of girls and guys in the gym, and they train the same way as our guys train. We have them doing all the same stuff. They're mixed in right with the crowd, so That's how we train them. We train them the same way. We don't train them any different,
Yeah.
So.
And then and if I want to lose fat, so if my goal is just fat loss, okay, so my sole goal, should I strength train?
Absolutely. Strength is going to be the base of everything. So, you can be highly conditioned, but weak as hell. You're not going to have that support of strength, so to speak, to fall back on. And so strength is important no matter if you're an athlete or if you're just training for fat loss. You need to have a strength base. So it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the body weight training. To start off, you got to have that base of support to build from. So strength is important. You can build off strength into everything else. So if it's just fat loss, you can build up higher levels of conditioning through having a good base of strength. If you're an athlete, you got to have that strength in order to get more explosive, more powerful, and all things root back to strength. So it's very, very important. And in regards to strength training, when it comes to fat loss, your goal is to either maintain or build muscle. That's going to help you burn fat. So, strength training is going to help you at least maintain the muscle mass that you do have. You don't necessarily have to, build a ton of extra muscle, which you asked about women. That's something that they don't want to do. Typically they don't want to get all bulky or something like that, so they're afraid of strength training. Whereas strength training and hypertrophy training are two different things. So strength training, you're focusing more on just, more so the nervous system and getting, better at lifting heavier weights for lower reps, not necessarily high rep sets. So strength training is important. It serves as a base of support for everything else that you're trying to do. And so for all my clients, that's one of our number one priorities, is to get strong as hell.
Yeah.
And then everything pretty much branches off of that.
And that would be the same then if, let's say, if I wanted to get bigger, so hypertrophy, we're talking you want a base of strength as well before you can branch into just getting bigger. Would you agree?
Sorry, what's that?
I said, if hypertrophy was my goal, do I still need a base of strength? Do I still need that foundation of strength?
Yep.
So of course you can't move weights unless you're strong enough to move them. Of course, when you think about it that way, it's so logical. Okay, good. Just I want to move on a little bit about diet. So first and foremost, do you yourself practice any particular diet? And then how do you suggest your clients, your athletes eat? Is it any different to you or anything in particular?
When it comes to nutrition, it's kind of like strength training. So you got to go back to that base of support. A lot of people want to start off like, okay, let's do intermittent fasting or this carb rotation diet or whatever. That's more complex stuff. Before you get into that stuff, you got to go back to the root and just focus in on cleaning up your diet. So we always start with a paleo-like base. And if you're not familiar with what paleo is, it's just real foods. So lean protein, nuts, seeds, lots of vegetables, a little bit of fruit, and it also means, no processed carbs, so no grains, no dairy, no sugars, things like that. So you're cutting out all the processed crap, that people know. Most people know what's bad. Most people know what's good. It comes down to a matter of willpower and changing your nutritional habits and, just getting that stuff away from you. But the way we always start off is it's never, all right, you got to cut all this stuff out immediately. Okay, so if you're having, a 12-pack of pop a day and going through the drive-thru 3 times a day, that's going to be impossible for somebody to do. So to say, cut out all that stuff immediately, they're going to be totally miserable, So it's just kind of like strength training in a way. It's you got to chip away at it and just build that base of support. So number one thing is to start eating real food and just cut out all that crap over time. If you do that, you're going to improve. You're going to get better results. And then once you get to that base level where, what we like to do is 80-20 rule. So 80% of the time you're eating lean and clean. 20% of the time you're having those cheat meals, and you're having, the food that is bad. And as long as you can kind of keep that ratio, you're pretty good to go. But until you get to that point, we don't really implement anything else to, specific or more advanced. So like intermittent fasting, things like that. It's not going to help somebody if they're eating like shit, if they're, throwing intermittent fasting in there, because intermittent fasting is good when you're eating, specific foods at the specific, time. So it always starts off with, getting yourself back to a lean and clean diet, paleo base, and then you can branch off from there.
Yeah, good. I the exact same. You got to create habits. You just need habits. Otherwise, you're going to fall off the bandwagon, and you're just going to really, really regress. I definitely agree with you there. Just you mentioned intermittent fasting. I personally love it, but what would you suggest? So obviously, people, they find it hard to do. They think. Not that they think, but they're worried about losing muscle. I'm going to put on fat, or I'm going to get sick. What would you say to them there? Like, do you agree? Do you disagree? Or what's your stand on it? Do you have anything particular to say about it?
Well, when it comes to intermittent fasting, it just depends on if it fits into the person's goals and into their lifestyle. For me, I was doing intermittent fasting every single day, hitting at least a 16-hour window of fasting, so not eating any food for at least 16 hours of the day. The other remaining 8 hours, that'd be my window for taking in food. And I mentioned I did that for 2 years. And for people that might be listening to this, if they don't know what intermittent fasting is, think of it as kind of like a sprint interval. So you're sprinting hard for 20 seconds, and then you rest for 60 seconds. It's the same way with eating. So in this case, the best setup that we use is a 16-8 fasting ratio setup. So 16 hours of the day you're not eating. 8 hours a day is an eating window, so you eat food within that window. So it's kind of like an interval, so to speak, eating interval. And like I mentioned, I did that for 2 years, pretty solid, for 7 days a week, all days of the week. I was basically, I would wake up, I wouldn't eat until about 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and then I would eat until 8 or 9 at night, and then I would just obviously you're not eating while you're sleeping, so that's about 6 to 7, 8 hours of not eating. And then easiest way to think about it is just skipping breakfast. And as you mentioned, a lot of people are going to say, oh my God, you're skipping breakfast, like you're going to lose muscle mass and your body's going to start eating its own muscle and stuff like that. And that's what we've been taught, over the years. And actually that stuff's, it's all myth, bullshit type stuff. And with intermittent fasting, all the studies are out there. And really what it's geared to do is help re-optimize your body hormonally. Because everything we do in regards to nutrition causes different hormonal responses in the body to happen. So every time we eat, like our insulin goes up, our body releases different hormones, things like that. And so the whole basis of intermittent fasting is to help, like I said, optimize our body's own hormones. So more specifically is human growth hormone, and obviously that's going to help increase testosterone. So if you're somebody looking to lose fat, build muscle, intermittent fasting can actually work out for you very, very well. But like I said, it's got to fit in within your lifestyle and fit into your goals. So I mentioned how I did this for 2 years, 7 days a week. Now I'm down to 2 days a week fasting. All other days of the week I eat normally. So I like to call normal days just performance-based eating. So I'm eating breakfast, I'm eating lunch, I'm eating dinner, and then I'm eating meals in between. And the reason I switched this up is because my training is a lot higher volume. So I never have athletes do intermittent fasting. So for guys that like playing football, wrestling, stuff like that, they don't need that. They need to fuel their bodies at all times. But the best people to use intermittent fasting are people that are busy, and their main goal is to lose fat and build muscle. And they're not competitive athletes.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my take on intermittent fasting, I guess.
So just to confirm, you did say I can build muscle when I fast.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay. That's great, man. That's really good info. Just you're I was on your site recently. I've been following your Days of Badassness. Can you elaborate a little on that?
The 12 Days of Badassness?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just something I wanted to do this year for Christmas. One of the traditional things with Christmas is the 12 days of Christmas. And so, 12 days out, you're constantly adding something, but then you're going back on down the line. So like on day one, in this regard, for 12 Days of Badassness, we started off, for day one was one set of 25 burpees. So you just throw that in at the end of your main workout. The next day, we added in 2 Turkish get-ups per side on the second day. So you'd start off with 2 Turkish get-ups on each side, then go back to one set of 25 burpees. So if you followed that along, it started to get a little rough towards the end there.
Yeah, pretty hectic.
Up to day 12, you're doing like 12 overhead squats, 11 man makers, 10 muscle ups, 9 pistol squats per leg, 8 handstand push-ups, 7 chest to bar pull-ups, 6 squat hang cleans, 5 thrusters, 4. The fourth day was one of the toughest days to add in because instead of just doing 4 reps of swings, you do 4 rounds of 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off kettlebell swings. And then you'd go back down to 3 snatches, 2 Turkish get-ups, 1 set of 25 burpees. So as you can imagine, if you're following that every single day,
wow.
Which I actually missed a couple days in there, but I finished up with the last 3 days, 10, 11, and 12. It got pretty rough there at the end.
I watched a few of the videos. Yeah, it was pretty intense. So
fun way to bring in Christmas, with training and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So basically, it was all in addition to your current training.
Yeah. So a couple days I didn't have any training planned. It was basically like an off day, and so I just come in and do that. But any of that type of stuff that I do on my blog, so like Thursday throwdowns and like short little challenge workouts like that, I always design that stuff to be after your main strength training, because again, like we talked about in the start of this call, like you always need to have that strength base. So you should always be following some sort of strategic programmed strength template, and then you can kind of add in your conditioning and chaotic type training in that in at the end. So yeah, but those 12 days were geared to be done after your main session. But for some people, it's like a
session in itself.
Workout. Yeah. So
just what you say that you've got your template for strength, and you're going to add in this kind of chaos, high intensity work afterwards.
Yep.
Now I would consider that to be pretty much just for conditioning and fat loss.
Yep.
Would I be right in saying that?
Yep.
Okay.
Definitely.
Can you just, would you be able to give me just a quick explanation as to why that works? Why does it work so well to incorporate high intensity work or chaotic work at the end of your workout or after your strength work?
Well, the main reason is you want to be fresh when you focus in on strength training. Strength training, I mentioned a little bit, deals more with your nervous system, and so your nervous system needs to be fresh in order to lift heavier weights. And you want your strength training to focus in on quality training. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make is they mistake strength training for like the 12 Days of Badassness or something like that. And so they're doing like these high intensity workouts thinking that's going to get them strong, whereas it's just kicking their butt and, working more conditioning, and, they'll get the benefits of fat loss and stuff like that. But after a while, if that's all you'll do, you're just going to burn your body down. You're going to burn your nervous system out, and then you'll kind of you'll run into a standstill. That's why you need to fall back on that strength to have that base, so you can continue to build off that. So strength and power training. In regards to programming, how I design workouts and stuff like that, strength and power training are always going to be first when we're fresh, and we want to focus in on quality, lower volume stuff with that. And then in the middle, that's when we kind of get into more specific in regards to your goals. So if you're somebody that's wanting to build more muscle, you get your power and strength training in first. Then we focus more on your volume / like hypertrophy training there in the middle. So that's where you can get more kind of bodybuilding specific, with the movements and exercises that you're doing. And then I'm a huge believer in building up that motor, so to speak, because that's everything's got a purpose. So the more conditioned or in shape you get, that's going to help cross over into your strength training. So for example, if you have no motor at all, you get out of breath like very easy, like you walk up a set of stairs and you're already out of breath. That's going to take away from your strength training, because obviously recovery in between sets, it's going to take you longer. So when you get into better shape, you lift some heavy weights, you only have to rest 60, 90 seconds in between, and you're ready to go. That's where that conditioning is help benefiting your strength training. At the same time, when it comes to your conditioning, it's like I said, we always want to fall back on that strength training. Just having that base support of strength, it's going to help increase our conditioning. So it all goes in together with everything, So, but in regards to being more chaotic, that's where you can get kind of nuts with your conditioning, so to speak. That's where you want to be a little bit more random, and you can have a little bit more fun with that, because I know how strength training isn't all, kind of bells and whistles and sexy to people, because it's like, oh, great, we're doing squats again today. Well, the fun part about that is when you start to see yourself get stronger, you just got to be patient with strength. Whereas with conditioning, it's a little bit more fun. Then you can get a little bit more crazy with what you're doing. So sandbags, kettlebells, body weights, sprints, you can continually mix it up, because all you're trying to do with that is get your heart rate up high and work that conditioning threshold when it comes to that. So that's kind of where that chaotic type training comes in, and it's always at the end, because that's when you kind of cash your body out and finish off your session. So you wouldn't want to do that unless you're specifically training, because sometimes, because I compete in CrossFit, and so there's times where I'll actually do conditioning work before, and then I'll go into my strength training just to prepare myself to lift heavy weights in a fatigue state.
Yeah.
Because you might have to do that in some workouts. So sometimes I'll flip it around just for that exposure. But for most people, it's going to be power, strength, hypertrophy in the middle, and then end it out with some chaos, conditioning type stuff.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned CrossFit, actually. I know there's a lot of people have there's varied opinions on it, obviously, as you know. So obviously I've seen a few people myself, and they'll be deadlifting, for example, pretty damn heavy weight in a circuit fashion, and it's too heavy for them, and you know that from rep 1. So my question to you is, can these people get strong and continue to get more conditioned and improve their physique and whatnot with lighter weight?
Absolutely. I mean, it's all just a matter of progression, and where CrossFit kind of gets its bad rep and stuff like that is just bad coaches, terrible coaches that have no clue about progression and proper form, and it's just people not knowing their own limits. So, I mean, with CrossFit, there's the sport of CrossFit, and then there's CrossFit for fitness. And those are two totally different things. So if you're competing in the sport, you need to be prepared to go at that level. So you need to be, advanced, so to speak. Where a lot of people run into trouble is they're just getting started, and so maybe they're just getting started with CrossFit, and so they're trying to be a competitor, and they're not even close to being to that level. So they need to know where their own levels are. So, and if they have coaches around them that are allowing them to do these different workouts with terrible form, then that's kind of on them. But it's always going to fall back to the person themselves. So people that are listening to this that want to get into that, you can get into that, but you just got to make sure you know your limits. It's always going to fall back on proper form and technique and progressing from there. So if you're wanting to do those types of workouts, just know it's going to take good form and technique. You don't want to push the limit too fast, too hard. That's when injuries occur. So it's always coming back to form and technique, number one. But your question was, I think, can people build muscle and burn fat with that type of training?
No. But no. So I see a lot of people they're bumping up the weight too fast. So my question is, if I keep the weight a little lower within my ability, can I build muscle and burn fat at the same time?
Yeah, and absolutely you can. And here's the main reason, or here's the main thing people want to think about in that regard is, if you progress too fast, go too hard, too heavy, you're going to injure yourself. So when you're injured, no training occurs. So you got to train in order to build muscle, burn fat. You can burn fat without training through just good nutrition. But if you want to accelerate your results, you have to be training. You have to be progressively going. But when you're injured, nothing's going to happen. So you can either be impatient and try to push it beyond your levels and risk getting injured, or you can be a little bit more patient and just focus in on slow, steady gains and enjoy the process, so to speak, and just cut the weights back a little bit and do it. Because really what it comes down to with training is, it is a process. It is a journey, and people should kind of step back and kind of enjoy that journey, getting that progress and hitting those milestones. And not everybody can become Arnold Schwarzenegger in a freaking matter of months. You talk to Arnold Schwarzenegger or listen to any of his old interviews, and he's a huge promoter of just hard work and all that good stuff. And it took him years to look the way he did, and a lot of hard work, sweat, effort. And I think that's a big problem in today's society with all the new technology that we have and the advancements in that regard. People think that it's going to be just as easy to get fast results, whereas it's still the freaking old school way. You got to bust your ass and work hard freaking work. And a lot of people have become lazy and just soft, and that's really what I'm doing with my gym, is trying to preserve that hardcore freaking, alright, I'm not coming to the gym to freaking as a social status type of thing. I'm coming to the gym to bust my ass and freaking tear some shit up and lift heavy weights. That's what it's about. But at the same time, know your limits. So that's where good coaching comes in, and just people knowing, how to train smart, so to speak. And, that's one of my saying, my mantra with what we do is to go 110% ham.
Yeah.
That's physically and mentally. So hard as a mother, and but at the same time, you got to train smart. So it's not just come through the doors, all right, you're going to go balls to the wall all the time and throw on as much weight as you can do and just risk injury. It's about being smart with it, and that's going to get you the best results.
Absolutely. That was a great response. Travis, this has been great. Just a quick question: where can we find out more about you? And have you got any products or anything out there that we can pick up?
Yeah. Well, people can find out more about me at my personal blog, and that's just travisstoetzel.com. And you can just post up a link so people can see the spelling of that. It's I probably should come up with an easier website name so people can find me better. But yeah, they can find more information about me at my personal blog. There's links to my different programs on there. We kind of hit on my main type of programming, which is can be found in my Unbreakable Badass Blueprint. That's kind of the programming I followed for my last CrossFit competition to get me prepared for that. And then for people that are looking for shorter, high intense workouts with minimum equipment, a program I just put out is the Garage Belt Body. And basically what that is just body weight and kettlebells, and that's it. 24-minute workouts. So those fit well for people that are super busy and just want to go 110% ham, like I said, but train smart. All the programs I do are all progressive in nature, and so it's not about just stepping into it and starting on like week 10 or something like that. You want to start at the first day and progress from there. So
yeah,
that's where people can find more info.
That's great, man. If anyone's wondering, if you want to just check out his site, his body alone, that you'll see he knows what he's talking about. He's not talking through his ass. Travis, this has been great, very, very informative. Guys, again, travisstoetzel.com, pick up his products. It'll be worth it, I guarantee it. Travis, thank you, and I'll catch you next week in Miami.
Definitely, man. Thanks for having me on, and look forward to seeing you in Miami. Better weather out there than here, for sure. So.
Same than yeah, that's right. But great talking to you, man. I'll talk to you next week.
All right, thanks, brother.
Thanks, Travis. Bye bye.
Yep, later.